And so let's just start the story. So I was married for 15 years, and I was staying in Houston, Texas with my then husband and our kids. At that point, me and my ex-husband ended up leaving me and my kids homeless. Like, took everything. Nothing. We had nothing. Absolutely nothing. Took everything from us or whatnot, and left us homeless. So then I ended up having to move back to Mississippi, where I'm originally from. I'm from Mississippi. So when I moved back to Mississippi, it had been 15 plus years since I had lived in Mississippi. I lived in Houston for 15 years, but I had been gone from my hometown for probably about 19 years or whatnot. So moving back home.
Well, what do we have here? It seems to be a liar. Well, that's what her husband said. I don't even think they divorced. But anyways, I know this is not that type of channel where I give commentary, but I did have to break it down so that y'all know this is a continuation of the last story time. Thanks.
Hey, everybody doing out there, this bipolar cutie thing. Yeah, it's a lot, you guys. I am her husband of not 15 years, but I am her husband. And I got a story to tell. If you want that story, give me the 10K followers and I'll do your story time. All right, here we go, y'all. Part 1 of still surviving bipolar cutie. We'll start from the beginning, how I met her. I met her through a cousin, and I was older than them, maybe about a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and she would come over to my cousin's house all the time. And at that time, I was living with my cousin, and we kind of hit it off. Maybe after just me initially meeting her, and then she ended up having a kid, and we started dating. It didn't last long because I just felt like I was too young to be a stepdad and all of that, being that I was just a senior in high school. 10 years later, fast forward, I moved to Houston, and I got a notification on Facebook from her, and we just hit it from there. It went quick, and we started just talking over the phone and everything, and then shortly after that, she ended up moving here, and I was okay with that. Now, I'll keep the context in the frame of I love love. I love being in love. I love being with the partner, but at the same time, sometimes you get blinded by the needs and wants. Once she got here, it got hot and heavy really quick. And when she got here, my cousin was also living with me, and maybe I'll say a couple of months after her being here, that's when it was stated to me that she was pregnant. I was in disbelief at first, but because, again, I'm a hopeless romantic and I just want to be happy and try to get it right after being divorced twice and married twice, I tried to try a different way. And after she told me that she was pregnant, I didn't believe it at first, but I knew we were hot and heavy and everything. But when the time progressed and we moved on with it, like a couple of months or whatever, then she started speaking about marriage. And at this point, I'm confused. I don't know what to believe. I know I like this girl. I'm living off where we were when we dated 10 years ago. And, you guys have to remember, you got to be cognizant that people change. People go through things, people change. And to follow your first heart. Was I given notification that I need to be careful? Yes, I was. Given notification by relatives. However, when you're in that headspace of wanting to try to start something that's going really good as you've seen, then you continue on with it. So through the process of the marriage, I didn't want to do it at first. She just kept pushing the issue, acting like she was going to unalive herself to get me to do it, pulling on my heartstrings, and just when I did decide to just go forth with it, we did it in the courthouse here in Houston. After the marriage, that's when I really started to realize I messed up. I really, really messed up. Like, I started seeing the pattern of lying. I started seeing the pattern of people before me that she was dealing with and how toxic that was. But at this point, we're married, and it's like once I realized that I had been duped into this marriage just so that there could be a father for the kid, it was kind of like already done. But I'll tell you this, I'll never take anything from the fact that the kid was in my life and that I was there, but I felt like I was just manipulated, And that's just the beginning of it. After I realized and started realizing everything, then it got to a point to where, things got worse before they got better. Continue to focus in, and I got part 2 of what happened next and how did we get to this point. Listen up, everybody. I want y'all to know that I'm never here for clicks or views or popularity or anything like that. I really am doing this because on her YouTube page, she posted a text between us where I'm receiving child support papers for all 3 kids, but she's saying she didn't do it. So when I go over to YouTube and I see her taking what we've done in a text message as of last week and putting it out there as if I'm the bad person, and of course you're gonna pay for these kids, and I got 5 kids, and all of that, like that's the only reason I'm here. I'm never gonna come unless somebody sent for me. Let's just be honest about it, for one. And for that person that said they needed to see my eyes, here you go. I'm not really one that likes to be in front of the camera. I really like to lay low, but at the end of the day, there's nothing for me to capitalize on this because the kids are the ones that's really suffering. Let's be honest about it. I don't do this for clicks, views. I don't do this for popularity. I don't do this for anything. I've never wanted to be an influencer. I never wanted to make money off of things that happen in my life. However, I refuse to let someone else tell my story, and it's all lies. I've dealt with this most of the marriage, if not all. And at the end of the day, you could take from it what you want or not, but I will tell you that I hope that this helps somebody, because I'm still mentally dealing with it, y'all. I'm still dealing with it. She's saying we're not married. We're still married. Do I still want to be with her? No. I just don't have the money and finances to do it. I got to go fund me. I just created like a week ago, but I just didn't want to be out like that when it relates to like asking for money or things like that. But I'm in a position where I have to just, at the end of the day, I don't have the funds, and my story's been told from a perspective that's not only not true, but it's grown up to be salacious so that people can believe it. But I also want you to take from this that I am a person that was in this marriage for years, and I was a person for many years that things didn't seem right. But you know how you don't have 2 and 2 to put it together, and then when you out of this situation and you can seek back and look at and say, oh, that's why this happened, or oh, that's why that happened, Now it makes sense. Hindsight is 2020. Don't be quick to judge. I'm not trying to piggyback off her. Like, make your money, baby mama. Make your money. But at the end of the day, don't do it at the expense of the kids. Don't do it at the expense of the person who was really the only person that helped you out. That's all I gotta say. I'm on my lunch break and I'm trying to eat something, but I can't even eat because since this thing's been going wild and out of control, I was okay until I saw a text message between she and I where it clearly has my picture at the top of the text message on YouTube, and it has my name, and it's a text message between us that says reasons as last Thursday and Friday. And she's only giving you the piece that she wants, saying that you put me on child support for all 3 kids. Because she and I both know they're all not mine. So, do what you want to with that, but I am a real person. I struggle with anxiety because of it. And hurt people, man. I just can't bring myself to be up here just crying for y'all. Because I don't want y'all to think that I'm in this with her, But at the end of the day, it hurts, guys. It hurts. So if you want to get into part 2 of me finding out how her and my first ex-wife are cousins, get them numbers up. What y'all doing out there, man? Here we are again. But this time it's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna keep it like straight up with y'all. Like, let's do a little quick Q&A since she making posts and she's still lying through her teeth. Let's start out first with a narcissist. How the hell am I a narcissist when you done killed off people? Let's get that straight first of all. There's no way possible I'm a narcissist. I cannot be the narcissist if you're the one killing all people and everybody caught you in your lie. You still saying these people dead. Did you forget that guy that you pregnant by is my classmate? That's my classmate. And I know these people just like you know these people, just like everybody in Cleveland, Mississippi know these people. Number 2, because I got notes written down here. Situation with the baby daddy. How I found out about the baby daddy? I had to go over there and have a conversation with him after I found out about he existed. After I found the letter in between the headboard and the mattress, I went over there and had a conversation with the man the next day. Matter of fact, I got the whole thing recorded. This is how I found out that the baby wasn't mine. They went and had a paternity test one day while I was at work. Yeah. Go figure. I didn't threaten him. We talked like men. Matter of fact, I had his number for a while outside of that, but she was AWOL. Now, this elementary piece situation she talking about, have your way with it, baby. Do whatever you want to do, but I'm quite confused on how, if I'm touching on little boys, I'm still in education. It's public record. You can look up my license. I'm still in education today. I wouldn't be free, or I wouldn't be in education, or you wouldn't give our child to me if that was the case. If I'm over here touching on people, why would you give me our child? Let's make that make sense. And how long we've been together? We've been together 1.5 years before we separated. There's no legal papers that show that we've been separated. I ain't been served none. If she tried to serve me some or she tried to do some, I ain't seen none of that. So legally, no, legally we're not. But we are separated. We've been separated for a while. Now, at the end of the day, when it comes down to the fact that she's saying that, now he want to talk about it, we've been talking about it. We've been talking about it since I had our child getting his divorce set out and amicably doing it. So I'm quite confused on why would you come on to here to try to get clout and just run my name into the ground like that if we had already sat down and talked about everything. No, the reality is you was trying to sit up here and set me up. Trying to act like you're playing nice guy, but really what you're doing is sitting over here trying to goddamn railroad me. No, lawyer, the little kid is not the youngest. No, the youngest kid is not mine. No, Abiel is not mine. Paternity test. There was a paternity test done with these kids. She don't know about it, but it was. Maybe she know now. And maybe she want to change her story about what kids are really mine and what kids aren't mine. So you can ride with it, do whatever you want. I done went from being DL to being a person who does things to little kids. Like, come on now. Pick a struggle. Matter of fact, how about you sit your ass down somewhere? Because the reality is, even if Pig is or isn't my sister, even if she is or isn't my sister, she lived with us and she knew what happened. You can sit here and try to throw me under the bus to her or whatever, but the case still remains. She lived with us and she know what happened, and you live there too. Do whatever you want to do. That's a little quick Q&A for y'all, but I have y'all to know that I ain't going back and forth with her about this. But I think I need to make sure y'all know the facts. And like at this point, you still over there believing that, go ahead with it. Then we're gonna bump your head against the wall trying to figure everything out. All right, y'all, here we go. A little proof. If you look up here, this is the marriage license. This is public record, okay? That's her name, that's my name. Here's the license. Here are the dates that they were issued, received, married, and processed. It's still valid. I know y'all like proof over here. So here we are. And that last baby, the dad, he is not unalive. He is still alive and well. And we've been married 11 and a half years before we separated. Again, just search Houston marriage license and put in her name or my name, and it will come up. All right, y'all, ain't nothing like a little bit more evidence here. This is a paternity test that they took while I was at work. How did I get this? When I talked to the guy, I took a picture of it from his phone. The kid's name, his name, 99.99. Now, when this was sent here, you guys, did the girl that stayed with you get you put out? Or did our daughter get you put out? Let's normalize not weaponizing the kids. Now, this here is an agreement that we agreed upon together. However, it was not signed. She didn't agree to it. She's just using this as a way to say that we are legally separated. Nothing was filed. Lastly, that little letter I told y'all I found between the headboard and mattress, there it is. And you know, the guy was ready to file criminal charges because she was keying his car, busting his windows on his balcony, and putting letters on his neighbors' cars to tell them that he's sleeping with their significant others. Narcissists? That word's been used a little bit too loosely here. This was the letter that the police station said he had to send to the house if he wanted a restraining order. All right, y'all, I'm back again. I'm gonna give y'all what y'all want, man. Y'all asked for receipts, y'all asked for everything. I'm just gonna give y'all receipts, man. You know, just at the end of the day, I don't want to waste y'all time. I don't want to take you down a hole that you think is a rabbit hole. So what I'm gonna show you next is the recording of when I went to the dude's house. I want you to listen to see if it sounds like I'm threatening him. Listen to how the conversation ends. So I'm gonna turn my camera, and then I'm gonna let it play. You just listen. Here's the letters that she was leaving on his neighbor's cars. Pause if you want to read it. Here is more of the recording. I know that recording was a little bit too low for y'all, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play it back, but I'm just gonna put the phone to the mic. Here we go. First, I'm like, somebody faithfully buying Pampers every week, my nigga. Like, hey, that's me. That's me sending her all the crazy shit she's sending me. You feel me? She talking about child support and stuff. Okay. That's how much she wants. She was trying to say the baby was in daycare. She lied. She lied. Every time I say, send me your work schedule of the daycare he at, she can't. Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. I'm gonna holler at you because you taking the McDonald's, though I got your number. Right. But I'm gonna holler at you though, bro. Don't tell her. Oh, you don't fuck with her? What up, y'all? I'm back, man. I know I look kind of rugged, but I'm gonna be different tomorrow. But let's talk about just finishing this off now. Let me address a few things before I start it out. Anybody that's questioning me being married, twice and divorced twice, like I'm kind of concerned. Like you probably got 5 baby daddies that ain't doing nothing for your kids, but you over here that ain't never tried to marry you, but you over here worried about, that's a red flag. What's a red flag is you ain't never been married with all them kids. But I digress. So let's move on. This situation of her constantly responding and posting, that's what I'm doing right now. It's not the full story. It's just me getting my part out there. And let me make something that's clear. I'm looking for help. I'm looking for help. If there could be someone that could help me, legally with trying to walk me through the process or something like that. So that's what I mean when I say I'm not here for the clicks and bakes. You know what I'm saying? I'm at a situation where it just is what it is. So let me address a few things. Domestic DV didn't happen. Didn't happen at all. For all the people that's concerned and got empathize, I understand. I empathize with people who's gone through DV. My mom went through DV. You know what I'm saying? So I empathize with that, but that never happened. You got to also understand you deal with a person that's diagnosed bipolar. And mind you, I didn't know she was diagnosed bipolar through our marriage. So at the end of the day, it still boiled down to you don't know what you're dealing with. And lastly, I'm going to say this right here as it relates to me, like putting it in a frame for y'all. I was gone for a year. I was gone for a year for a reason. I'm human. When I went through that after 11 and a half years, almost 12 years of dealing with being gaslit, being manipulated, lied to, you sometimes lose reality of what's real and what's not. You sometimes become what you've gone through. I had to have myself committed after that, y'all. I had to get my mind right. You know what I'm saying? I got the help I needed, but I realized like quickly after when you lose kids that you think are yours and stuff like that as a man, we don't get a lot of grace. You know what I'm saying? We don't do a lot. We don't even push legal stuff like that because we're men. But I was manipulated. When it comes to her talking about, oh, I left for a year. I've been doing it for 11 and a half years. I really hope you ain't out here, sleeping with guys and making babies for free. So there's no way possible that you could think that you're out here and broken all that is my problem. That's your fault. That's your fault. That's the consequences of your actions. When it comes down to the fact that I'm hearing this last video of her saying, hey, he took the car, the car was in my name. That was my car. Why would I give you my only car? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? She had the kids. Yes, she did. But you got to also understand that I had to choose me. I had to choose me. Because I started listening and I'm starting to think like, if I'm messed up here, how am I going to be any good for the kids? My noodles were total unscrambled behind that, man. So, use your logic. Don't worry about, what it seems. I ain't got no reason to lie to y'all. I really don't. all this talking about she slept on the floor. Did you sleep on the floor, or did the white man help you move the bed? I think you need to make a choice on your lives. I've been told you're a horrible liar. First you said y'all slept on the floor with nothing. Then you said the white man helped you move in the bed and all that. Did y'all sleep on the bed, or did y'all sleep on the floor while the bed in the apartment? Come on now, make that make sense. There's so many ways to where, she makes herself look stupid. And for me, y'all saying you giving the story already? No. If you're going from page to page, you realize that I'm responding to the nonsense she putting down. And why am I responding? Because I think y'all need to know. You can have your opinions about it, do whatever you want to with it. But at the end of the day, she's a straight lunatic. Yeah, a straight lunatic, man. All right, y'all. I just feel like at this point, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to, shake down nobody for likes and follows or whatever. So what I'm going to do is go on and get into the story. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like y'all want to know, and I feel like I know I want to tell it. But at the end of the day, at the beginning, you got to realize I don't understand this app that well. I only get on this app to like search and all that, not search, but really just look at the stuff and like that. I've never really been one to just posting all that. So now I'm just really getting into it. So I need you to understand. I want to preface that in the beginning when I asked for 10K, that was off the fact of thinking that, hey, maybe so I can get the help I need. But with all that being said, I'm going to move right into it because I know y'all waiting for it. All right, I already told y'all the beginning part about how we met in high school and all that stuff and how she had a kid and whatnot. But fast forward 10 years later, we ended up moving together. And she ended up coming from Memphis to Houston. And, everything was good in the beginning until a couple of months into the relationship, she pops up and says she's pregnant. Of course, I was apprehensive at first because I'm like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, you in denial when you like, shit, we ain't been knowing each other that long, or I ain't really ready for that, but at the end of the day, if you're doing the do out here, then, of course, it's bound to happen. It could happen, So then, after she told me, I was kind of apprehensive about it. And then, me being who I am, I questioned it. And when she told it to me, that, it's a possibility it's not mine. I need you to understand the preface that in my head, I'm like, okay, well, when we get everything set up and when we get set up for like, getting ready to have a kid, we're going to let them know we need a paternity test and all of that. But now, mind you, throughout the whole process, there was maybe a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months before we got even married. Me not knowing that once you get married in the state of Texas, like, you're responsible for that kid. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Then, once she started wanting us to get married and all that around by November, end of November, beginning of December, I was basically telling her like, I don't want to do it. We need to know each other more and all that when it comes to trying to figure each other out and all of that. But then the girl started acting crazy. She started acting like she was going to jump out the car while she's pregnant. Like, we riding and she like, you about to just throw my whole marriage away. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm dealing with. So I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, I'm just not ready to do it. You know what I'm saying? But, all in and out and everything's going when you realize you're in this relationship and you really like this person. Sometimes you look past some things, and I went on with the marriage. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to say she forced me to marry her. No one can force you to marry somebody. But I will say that my heartstrings were pulled through the process of me trying to, go through it. And it was one of the deciding factors in me actually deciding, hey, let's go forward with it. Because, being raised in the South by my grandma, my mom's, I've always was told that the woman's good enough for you to have sex with her and make a baby, she's good enough for you to marry her. So when people start talking about, oh, you've been married twice, it's a red flag. At the end of the day, I take my accountability in anything. But I will tell you that anytime in our relationship where we have had like disagreements or whatnot, it's always been because I'm reacting to what she's putting down. It's never been because I'm coming to her with nonsense, but I'm an adult. I can take accountability for my part in wherever the situation with. Now, when she got married and when she had the baby, now we're sitting here and I'm just like, hey, we need to do this paternity test. So I leave to go and handle some business. And when I come back, it's already been done. I'm thinking in my head, just off of hindsight, thinking about it, I feel like she just kind of like told the people like, hey, we married. Like, like we can use that. I never signed for the first kid. I never signed for the 12-year-old, the oldest daughter. So when we continue on and things go on, I'm just like, okay, everything's done. We can go ahead and have a paternity test and get everything done outside of here. Time just went on. You know what I'm saying? And in the point of time going on, I kind of like just let it happen. I'm with this woman. We having a good time. It's cool, whatever. But at the end of the day, it still boiled down to the fact that I've always throughout the marriage said, I felt like you tricked me and I felt like this. But when you've been gaslit by a person and the person is constantly telling you like, hey, the person did. Because when I asked her about the guy, she told me that the guy that she had the party with, and she ended up being given some rugs that caused her to kind of like be inebriated. She told me the guy died in a car accident. And I'm like, this ain't the first time that we all hearing about. This is not my first time hearing about her killing somebody off. You know what I mean? So then I turn around and I go ahead and it just moved through, and time just went on. You know what I'm saying? And at this point, it's just like I accepted it for what it was. But also at the same point, it's like, when we did separate or whatever, I felt like that child has the right to know who her real father is, and I don't want to play a factor in feeling like I lied to her, and then she becomes an adult and is like, hey, you lied to me too. So we get on into the marriage or whatever, and everything's keep going. Then the second child was born. Like throughout that process, there were other guys that just, it was random stuff that was happening. Like one day I was at my apartment complex and I was just checking out my car because I was having issues with it, and she so happened to go to the store. As she's coming back, she zooms into the parking lot and a guy's following her. But when he realized that, I'm there, he stops and just keeps going. And then I asked her about it, and she says that the guy was just like, haggling her for her number. She wouldn't get, so he started following her. Hindsight 2020 in my brain, I'm thinking like, man, after all, once everything, dissipated, I'm like, man, maybe there was another guy that I ain't know nothing about, Keep going, shit keep happening. We start having our issues. I'm starting to see more and more issues. I will tell you that when she worked at the post office, it's okay to say that you was a breadwinner. When the post office worked down there 60, 70 hours a week, especially during the pandemic, when the pandemic happened, like post office still went to work every day. They still had to work. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, like no other kids born. When we moved to the suburbs, that was not something that she did, and she was the breadwinner. That was made off of my income. For the majority of the marriage, I was the only one working at all. Like, even there were times when we were struggling, I'm like, I need you to get a job, like, we need to figure this out. She would, like, dodge around it instead of talking about it. And throughout this whole process, like, at one point, her son ended up coming living with us, her oldest son, her 20-some-year-old son, and he was, like, a handful to deal with, but being the guy I am, I just took it on to try to support as much as I can. Now, I just, at the end of the day, never, ever really thought that everything that, what it is, when you're in a relationship, you don't want to think it is what it is, but you keep going with it. You know what I'm saying? So towards the end, when we fast forward on through, because no other things really happened. Besides her just lying, nothing made sense. At one point, I was told, like, I need support. And she was like, well, I had a house in Memphis. So I'm going to sell the house. I'm looking up the house and ain't nothing coming up about anything. Nothing just was making sense. She's a compulsive liar. Towards the end, she had been dating the last little boy that's here. She was dating his dad for a year before I even found out. And when I found out, like I told y'all, when the kid was almost a month and a half, or almost a month, 3 weeks, I want to say, I found out about the other guy. At this point, our relationship's on the rocks. We're understanding that we're going to separate. We both decided that, we're going to get our own place. So, like, to say that I put her out when there was no putting out. She already moved into her own place before I even came back to the apartment. 2 weeks before I came to the apartment and got the rest of the stuff out of the apartment, man. She had left the apartment such a mess. We got a whole balance we owe of almost $2,000 for the apartment we once lived in, because it was such a mess. And when I came to move out, it was the last day, so I had to turn the key in. So I just took what I could for me. She had every opportunity in those 2 weeks to get what she wanted and what she needed. Now, when it kept going on, I had to take a year off, bro. I literally had to take a year off. And I will tell you, I took a year off for me. I had to be committed. I had to go through therapy. I had to get myself together. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, it still boils down to, yeah, you saying he was gone for a year, but at the same time, let's explain why. Let's explain this man out here just living his life. This man actually struggling trying to figure things out. So after talking to the dude and all that, which is the little boy's kid, I am not the guy that was unalive. Let me say that off the rip. I was not the guy that she said was unalive. The guy that you see in the video that I posted previously is the guy of the little boy's kid, and how I figured all that out. Like literally, once all of that happened and everything happened, like I kept his number or whatever, but time just went on. And after I couldn't find her to serve her the divorce papers, like wasn't anything else I could do. It all just boils down to the fact that once I came back, this Big E guy was in the picture. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I ain't got no issues or quarrels with that guy. That guy's my classmate. I don't have no. All right, y'all. I ran out of time on the last installment, so I just came here because the 10 minutes ran out. But I'm gonna finish it all off. How I ended up coming back after a year. Her friend ended up going to my mom's job and telling my mom, you need to go by there, tell Tyra to go by there and check on his kids. And so my mom called me and she was like, you need to go check on them kids. Her friend came to my job and her friend was telling me some things that were concerning. So I'm like, Mom, I really don't want to go by there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you already know what I'm dealing with this girl. Like, I don't want to get over there and something happens to the point of her calling the police or something. Then it looks bad on me in court to try to even like have any of what I'm supposed to have as a dad. I don't want to go over there and it looks like I'm creating a problem. So the next best thing for me to do was to call CPS. Yes, I called CPS. And when I called CPS, I reported what was reported to me. The friend told me that, she was leaving the kids at home all night by themselves, to go out and party and do rugs, that she was on heavy rugs, and that at the end of the day, like, she's abusive to the kids. This is what was told to me. So what I ended up doing was reporting what she told me. So at the end of the day, you can take it for whatever face value you want to take it for. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I got to do for what's best for me and what's best for the kids. So the CPS worker, I was leaving all the information. They ended up going by there. And when they went to the house, the kids were home alone. And come to find out, the kids had been left at home all through the night. And then parts of the night, the service of their phone wasn't working. So they're there with a little kid, and then they ain't have no service to call nobody or nothing. When the CPS people got there, they were there alone then. So that's how she ended up in the situation that she's in now, saying that I'm the cause of it. No, if you're not doing what these people saying you're doing, when CPS get there, they're not going to bother you no more about it. They're going to leave it alone, open, close case, But that wasn't the case at all. So I ended up giving her my number to call me because she didn't have my number. Mind you, the number that I did have, she was the one that had it cut off. She's saying she had it cut off because I wasn't responding. You got to understand, there was a reason I wasn't responding. I wasn't responding no matter if she's sending kids to text me. She would sometimes act like she's a kid to text me herself to just get me there. You know what I'm saying? So all in all, when it all said and done, I had to do what was best for me and for the kids when it came to me making a better decision. So at the end of the day, when all of this is swept under the rug, I still will have the opportunity to be a father. When the CPS people went there, she ended up calling me because I gave her my number. I was like, I told my sister-in-law, I said, go over there and give her my number and tell her to call me, because at this point, she come call up this officer, somebody call CPS, something, yada, 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 yada. At the end of the day, like, the kids happen to be taken out of the home for that. And at the end of the day, that's how I ended up back in the picture. Now, when I came back, I ended up getting the oldest, the 12-year-old, and my 9-year-old for 2 weeks in the summer, around the end of July. And after the 2 weeks, I took the 12-year-old back because Mom said she couldn't stay. It wasn't because I didn't want to, because we already knew that she wasn't mine, so Mom didn't feel okay with that, and I was cool with that. So once I took the 12-year-old back, the 9-year-old's been with me since the end of July, right? Now, mind you, the whole time I got my 9-year-old, ain't no support coming from her, like when it comes to, like, hey, here's her, if you need help with her Christmas or you need help with her birthday, like, nothing came from her. Now, in that whole time, I agreed that, hey, since I was gone for a year, you don't have to do nothing for a year. I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, like as a mom, like would you not do nothing for your kid for her birthday? Would you not do nothing for your kid for Christmas? Whether you're struggling or not, if you make Christmas happen, you can make Christmas happen. But like don't call and act like you, and because this is what was happening. She was calling me, acting like, hey, for Christmas I got her a Target order. But when she really didn't have a Target order, it's like nobody even asked for the lie. Like even up to the point of talking about manic behavior. When I had our kid, and I still have her, she would like, when she would get mad at me, she would like call my phone over and over and over. Then she would reach out to my family members, like I'm not answering the phone, and then I have my uncle or my aunt calling me. I'm like, man, this is just way too much. So I just want to preface this by saying at the end of the day, that's my story. And I had to deal with that for almost 12 years. And at the end of the day, y'all can take whatever y'all want to take from it. But I'm not here to shake down for no followers, no none of that, because I can guarantee you that I was just looking for help. At the end of the day, when you're dealing with stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, you can call me manic, you can call me whatever you want to call me. You know, I really don't think that any of us is in a place to judge nobody. You know, y'all sit behind these computer screens and y'all write all these messages and stuff. This is why I'm going here and give y'all the story, because I need y'all to know for sure that I really don't care about followers. I would love to have them, but here just for that reason is not my sole purpose. I've been on this app way too long to now just deciding I want to start shaking people down for followers. And I really wish that some of y'all would reconsider before y'all hit that button, because just like you're doing this to me and other people, it can happen to you. It can happen to you. You're human, right? It can happen to you. Now, for all the people that saying I'm clown and I'm making fool of myself, you know, the hell with y'all. Do whatever you want to do with this story. Take it however you want to take it. But I'm done talking about it, because life goes on. So there it is. I appreciate y'all for listening. Anybody want to support or help me out in any way when it comes to legally or advising me, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I just need to get my part of that so you guys can understand the character of this person, and you guys can also understand that other people in this girl's life have gone through things. All right. Appreciate you. Thank you for listening.